Yo, what's up, gamers? So, I walked into the breakroom today and Gary from IT has turned the whole room into Vault 76. There's a router taped to the fridge, the microwave screen says server disconnected, the vending machine has a login screen, and the coffee machine says online authentication required. So I see Gary in the middle of the room and I ask Gary, why does the coffee machine need a server queue? And Gary goes, it's a shared world break room now. Bro, I just wanted caffeine, not a live service beverage, and that is when it clicks, because this is basically the Fallout 76 story in the break room. Bethesda took Fallout, a franchise built on single player exploration, role-playing, quests, NPCs, and lonely wasteland wandering, and turned it into an always online experiment. And when that experiment launched, the Wasteland was not ready. So now I'll welcome you back to the Janitor Files, a series where we mop up gaming's biggest disasters, weird industry experiments, corporate decisions, and the messes the industry does not clean up. So before we get into this, do me a favor, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment down below. Did Fallout 76 launch fail because online Fallout was a bad idea? Or because Bethesda launched it before the Wasteland was ready? Now let's grab a mop. Because Gary's break room vault is online only, the microwave disconnected before reclamation day, and now we have to clean up the Fallout game Bethesda had spent years repairing. Now I ask you to come along with me. Fallout 76 mattered because this was not some tiny side project sneaking out of the vault wearing a fake mustache. This was Fallout. By the time Fallout 76 was announced, Bethesda had already turned the series into one of the biggest RPG brands in gaming. Fallout 3 brought the franchise into modern 3D era. Fallout New Vegas became beloved for its writing, faction, choices, and role-playing depth even though it was made by a different developer. And Fallout 4 was a massive seller. It sold millions of copies, it brought in tons of new players, and it made the next Bethesda Fallout feel like a major event. Now yes, Bethesda games had a reputation. People expected some bugs, a floating Brayman here, a physics object launching into orbit there, a corpse folded into a filing cabinet like the engine lost a bet. But fans usually accepted the mess because the worlds were rich. There were quests, characters, factions, stories, choices, places to explore. That was the trade. Bethesda gave you a giant world, and you agreed to not scream every time a skeleton vibrated through a wall. So when Fallout 76 showed up, players were not expecting perfection, they were expecting Fallout. And that is where the problem started. Because Bethesda was not just making another single player Wasteland, they were asking fans to trust them with a completely different kind of Fallout. Fallout 76 was teased in May 2018, then fully revealed at Bethesda's E3 showcase. Todd Howard walked out and pitched a new Fallout set in Appalachia, West Virginia, with Vault 76 opening on Reclamation Day. The map was described as 4 times the size of Fallout 4. Bethesda talked about new rendering, new lighting, distant weather systems, and a world built for years of support. But the big twist was this: Fallout 76 was entirely online. Every human character you met would be another player. Bethesda said you could still play solo, but the world would always be shared. Pre-order players would get access to the beta, which stood for Break It Early Test Application, which is a funny name until the thing actually starts breaking. But the pitch was bold. Bethesda was saying, what if Fallout was not just your wasteland, but everybody's wasteland? And that sounds exciting on paper. A huge online Appalachia, friends building camps, players launching nukes, a shared world full of discovery. But for longtime Fallout fans, there was another question hiding under the vault door. Can Fallout still feel like Fallout when the human NPCs are other players? The world requires a server, and the story is built around an online experiment. That question never really went away, it just waited for launch day with the clipboard. Before Fallout 76 even launched, a lot of fans were nervous, and not just because the word online makes some players reach for a fire extinguisher. No, Fallout had mostly been a single-player RPG series. You wandered around, you met weird communities, you chose factions, you talked to strange NPCs, you made decisions that shaped your version of the Wasteland. Fallout 76 changed that relationship, and now required a constant internet connection. There was no offline mode at launch, no traditional private single-player version, and the world had no normal human NPCs. So players were worried. What about server stability? What about griefing? What about PvP? What if random players ruin the atmosphere? What if the Wasteland felt empty without the NPCs? What if Fallout lost the role-playing part of the role-playing game? That was the identity problem. Fallout's loneliness used to feel intentional. It made the world feel dangerous, strange, and personal. But in Fallout 76, some players worried that loneliness would feel different. Less like atmosphere, and more like the server forgot to invite the story. And that was the risk Bethesda was taking. And then when beta arrived, the warning lights started blinking. The beta started in October 2018. Xbox One players got in first, then PC and PS4 followed. The sessions were limited, progress carried over, and the whole thing happened very close to launch. So this was not some early test from a year out. This was the game walking into final inspection with duct tape on its shoes. Players ran into crashes, server instability, performance problems, bugs, and on PC there was even a launcher issue where some players had to re-download massive files, or had their game files deleted. That is the kind of problem that makes your hard drive look like you and whisper, "Reclamation Day was a mistake." Bethesda knew players would find issues. That was part of the point. They literally called it break it early. But when the beta is that close to release, there's only so much time to fix the foundation. And Fallout 76 did not look like it needed a little polish. It looked like the vault door opened before the connection crew left. Calling your beta break it early is funny, until the game finally shows up with the wrench already sticking out of the engine, and then launch day came. Fallout 76 launched on November 14, 2018 for PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One, and the Wasteland came out swinging. This was not just, oops, a little Bethesda jank. Players were getting disconnected from servers, sometimes in the middle of events, quests, or combat. The game could crash, freeze, soft lock, or leave people staring at the loading screens like the vault door got stuck on lunch break. Some players reported character problems too, including characters disappearing from the select screen or progress seeming to vanish after disconnects. And because Fallout 76 was online only, there was no normal local save file to roll back to. If the server-side progress had a bad day, you were just standing there with your lunchbox open, wondering where your character went. Then there were power armor glitches. Players could get stuck in power armor, animations broke, models stretched into these weird lanky nightmare creatures, like Vault-Tec tried to invent Slenderman with the fusion core. Enemies also had their own problems. Some failed to spawn, some spawned underground, some slid around instead of moving normally, some were invisible, but still perfectly capable of attacking you, which is the kind of workplace behavior even Todd from HR would call a concern. Quests could break too. Objectives would refuse to advance, items could get stuck, events could fail, and one of the main workarounds became server hopping, which is never a great sign when the solution to playing the game is leaving the game world and hoping the next one behaves better. Then there was the stash limit. At launch, the stash box had a 400 weight limit. In a Fallout survival game, a game built around junk, scrap, weapons, armor, chems, crafting, and the ancient Wasteland tradition of picking every desk fan like it contains a cure for loneliness, 400 weight filled up fast. So even basic scavenging turned into inventory management court. This is the difference. In older Fallout games, a bug might break your quest. In Fallout 76, a bug could hit your character, your server, your event, your inventory, or the economy other players were using too. Critics were not kind, player reception was brutal, and the game started seeing steep discounts not long after launch. Which is never a great sign when your brand new Wasteland is already sitting in the bargain bin like it forgot its lunch money. But the important part is this: Fallout fans were used to bugs. Bethesda bugs were practically wildlife at that point. You see one in the distance, you take a screenshot, you move on. The problem was that Fallout 76 launched with technical failures, while players were already questioning the entire design. A crash was not just a crash, a disconnect was not just a disconnect, a missing character was not just a bug report. It felt like proof that Bethesda had asked players to trust a new kind of Fallout before the game had earned that trust. In older Fallout games, the bugs were potholes on the road. In Fallout 76, players were still trying to figure out if the road had been built yet, and nothing showed that identity problem more clearly than the empty wasteland. Fallout 76 launched without traditional human NPCs, no regular towns full of people to talk to, no big human factions giving you dialogue trees, no classic Fallout conversations where somebody in the dusty room explains their entire political philosophy while you steal all their pencils. Instead, the story came through holotapes, terminals, robots, notes, environmental storytelling, and other players. Now, to be fair, Fallout has always been good at environmental storytelling. Skeletons in strange places, terminal logs, abandoned rooms that tell a whole tragedy without saying a word. That stuff is part of the series, but in Fallout 76, environmental storytelling was not seasoning anymore. It was the whole menu, and for a lot of players that meal needed actual people in it. The world could look beautiful, it had color, music, weird creatures, and strong atmosphere, but without traditional human NPCs, many players felt like the world was missing its soul. It was not just the game was broken, it was that even when it worked, some people felt like Fallout's heart had been replaced by a server rack. And then somehow, Bethesda's trust problem got worse outside the game, because now we have to talk about the bag. The Power Armor edition of Fallout 76 cost around $200, and one of the big advertised items was the Canvas West Tech duffel bag. The marketing showed canvas, collectors expected canvas, then people opened the box, and they got nylon. Not exactly the premium Wasteland luggage experience. Bethesda initially blamed a canvas shortage, then offered 500 atoms as compensation, which is about $5 in in-game currency, and players looked at that and said, "Brother, I cannot carry my disappointment in the atomic shop." The backlash got worse when reports spread that some influencers had received better canvas bags, and Bethesda's customer support messaging did not help. Eventually, Bethesda launched a replacement program and sent canvas bags months later, but by that point, the damage was done. Because this was not just about fabric, this was about trust. Fallout 76 was already asking players to believe in a long-term online future, believe the servers would hold, believe the world would improve, believe the live service promise, and then the collector's edition could not even deliver the bag shown in the marketing. The game was already on fire, and the collector's edition showed up carrying extra matches. If players could not trust the bag, why would they trust a roadmap? And unfortunately, the mess kept spilling. Fallout 76 did not have one bad launch week, then magically become stable. The online structure meant problems kept affecting everybody. Duplication glitches became one of the biggest issues. Players found ways to duplicate items, which damaged the endgame economy, created balance problems, and showed how fragile the online systems could be. In a single-player Fallout, an exploit might break your own save file. That is between you and your conscience, and whatever cursed drawer has 900 mini nukes in it. But in an online game, one broken system can spill into the whole community. Then came Fallout First. Bethesda launched a subscription service with private worlds, a scrap box for unlimited junk storage, a survival tent, monthly atoms, and cosmetics, and a lot of players hated the timing and the message. Private worlds and better storage were exactly the kind of things players have been asking for, so when they appeared inside a paid subscription, it felt like Bethesda was charging for quality of life fixes around problems the base game helped create. That did not mean every Fallout First feature was useless, but the trust was already damaged. So players were not just asking, "What do we get?" They were asking, "Why are we paying extra to make the Wasteland less annoying?" That is the danger of launching rough, then monetizing around the repairs. Every new feature gets judged through the old wound, but to Bethesda's credit, they did not abandon the game, they started repairing it. Fallout 76 did improve. That part matters. Bethesda did not just kick the game into the wasteland, lock the vault door, and pretend nothing happened. They patched bugs, improved stability, added events, built out systems, and kept updating the game. There were major updates like Wild Appalachia, Steel Dawn, Expeditions, The Pit, with seasons, events, and more. The biggest turning point was Wastelanders in 2020. That update added human NPCs, dialogue choices, new story content, factions, more of the Fallout structure players have been missing from the start, and that changed the conversation. Suddenly, Appalachia felt like a museum after closing time, and more like a living Fallout world, not perfect, not universally loved, but much closer to what players wanted in the first place. So yes, Fallout 76 became a better game, it built a real community, it kept going, and a lot of people genuinely enjoy it now. But this is not a clean redemption stamp, this is a repair arc. Fallout 76 did improve, Bethesda did not abandon the game, but the fact that it took years of work to make it even more like Fallout is exactly why the launch still matters. Because first impressions harden fast, and trust is much harder to patch than the quest marker. So what does this actually mean? Fallout 76 did not prove online Fallout was impossible, it proved that if you change the identity of a beloved franchise, you need to launch with enough quality to earn that trust. The always online idea was risky, no traditional human NPCs was risky, the beta warning signs were risky, the launch problems confirmed players' fears, the bag scandal made the trust issue physical, and Fallout first made players question whether the repairs were coming with a subscription receipt. Bethesda trying to make a new kind of Fallout, that part is not automatically bad, but they launched it before the foundation was ready, and that is why people still remember the disaster, not because the game never stopped improving. It did, but because Fallout 76 asked for trust first, and then earned it later. That's how you take a fanbase you worked so hard to achieve for granted. Now we're back in the break room, and Gary from IT finally gets the coffee machine online. The screen says, "Welcome back, Vault Dweller." So when I put my cup under it, the machine says, "Fallout first required for premium storage." So I'm like, "Gary, why does the coffee have a subscription?" And Gary goes, "It is quality of life feature." Oh man, this is supposed to be free caffeine. Well, that's all I got. I gotta bounce before Gary charges me atoms to unlock the creamer. But before I go, do me a favor. Hit like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you want more gaming disasters cleaned up from the break room, and comment down below. Did Fallout 76 launch fail because online Fallout was a bad idea? Or because Bethesda launched it before the Wasteland was ready? This is Scruffy the Janitor signing off. Peace out.